Hello, this is Wes Bridle. This is another Kingdom Calling Economic Update video. This is the second video on signs that hyperinflation might be creeping in. So all these videos are short updates on what's been going on in the last month to update you on just the details, the big picture we covered in The Coming Storm, which is a full-length video you can watch from the link, take you to a page where you can watch that for free right near this video. If you haven't seen that, I really encourage you to do that. Let me jump right into it. Food prices are continuing to surge, particularly corn, soybeans, and wheat recently. Also, a different study, record number of people are saying they're paying more for groceries. The people that probably aren't paying attention to what they're paying. An interesting question Zero Hedge looked at is, did the Fed purposely plant a bomb in the Wall Street Journal? Because they ran a story that really took out the markets, and it's from an author that often seems to know what Ben Bernanke is going to say before he says it. And it's thought that Ben Bernanke might speak to him and give him some ideas to prepare the market. So it's kind of interesting that he really kind of bombed the market. Their thought was that the Fed wants QE, they want to see the stock market go down because they know the economy is going down and they know Europe's having trouble and they want to be able to bail them out. Actually, I took a break here between videos for a meeting, and I did see that apparently, I just said in the last video, I think the US is going to start bailing out Europe. Apparently they've just announced that today. So apparently we have limitless amounts of money in the United States, and we can just spend to our heart's content and print as many of these little pieces of green paper as we want, and they'll all be perfectly good. Of course, anyone that really understands economics knows that doesn't work, but we continue to try it, and that is the biggest hyperinflation sign of all. Did the Fed, let's see, Fed is monitoring Europe, I think, I think my battery ran out after I had said that, and maybe it didn't show up in a previous video, but I was just saying, I think the Fed is planning on bailing out Europe. We did a little bit here in the last crisis. The liquidity is drying up in Europe, and they want to send more dollars over that way. They'll tell us a story. I still haven't read the story, I just saw a headline. They'll tell us that they'll do certain things that make it not inflationary, but that's just tricks. The reality is you send bucket loads of money over there, it's inflationary. S&P tells the truth about the US by downgrading it, and the CEO gets canned. How do you like that? We're in a free country, right? Now, I have a question about this. President Obama was very upset, Timothy Geithner was very upset about S&P downgrading the United States, saying that's ridiculous, we could never default, and acting like they're complete morons to downgrade the United States. But wait a minute, aren't those the two guys that for a month or two before the debt ceiling was resolved, that they went around saying if we don't come up with this, if we don't raise the debt ceiling, the United States will default and it will be horrible and cataclysmic? You can't, if you're president of the United States or Secretary of Treasury of the United States, you can't go around beating a drum saying the US might default, the US might default, the US might default, and then be surprised when a rating agency downgrades you from the absolute top rating to the second best rating out of many for the fact that you might default. You just sat there and told everybody you might default. And now you think you deserve the rating that companies get that couldn't conceivably default? Of course you might default if you're telling people you might default. But this is simple, but our president doesn't understand a lot of things. And when you're president, you say something, people are going to tend to believe you. So you shouldn't assume that they're going to ignore what you say. What you say has consequences. So it's just one of the many bizarre things that have happened with our leadership. I'm going to move on. Let's see. 70 U.S. companies considered a better default risk than the U.S. government. This was on a particular day, but 70 U.S. companies considered a better risk to lend money to than the U.S. government. That's strange. It's really not strange. It makes a lot of sense, but it shouldn't make sense. MIT, they have their own, we've talked about before, they have their own inflation measure called the Billion Price Project, and it is showing, they track 1 billion prices, and it is showing that inflation has now hit 4%. So that's twice what Bernanke's always said he's shooting for, that we have inflation. The Fed will be meeting again in a week and a half here to do something. So this is interesting and a little bit scary, because the things they do just hurt us, but everyone's looking at them to somehow save us. And so they're going to do something. A lot of people think Operation Twist, where they just change the maturities of the treasuries that they hold. We don't know. We'll see. Maybe QE3. It's hard to see them doing that, because QE2 was such a flop. It so obviously hurt us and didn't help us. But we'll see. Let's see, and the G7 said central banks stand ready to provide liquidity. That means they stand ready to print lots and lots of money, and I guess that's what was announced today, that they plan on just sending more and more money into the situation. Problem is, they've been doing that for a long, long time. That's not going to fix our problems. Thank you for watching this video. Again, if you haven't seen The Coming Storm, there's a link to do so for free. I really recommend you do that to help protect you and your family. And thank you for watching. God bless you.